Ritual Conception and Engineered Children, Occult Families. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Occult Families, How to Spot Them series. Trigger warning, this video series covers disturbing and very serious topics. Full legal disclaimer in the video description below. Within occult bloodlines, children are rarely conceived through chance. Their births are orchestrated events, ritually timed, spiritually assigned, and often violently arranged. The goal is not just biological reproduction, but spiritual engineering, the deliberate creation of individuals for specific roles in the generational system. Conception as ritual. Forced pregnancies, whether through incest, rape, or arranged unions, are often part of an explicit ritual process. The conception itself is considered a magical act, conducted during specific astrological alignments, lunar phases, or bloodline anniversaries. These rituals are designed to create a child who is spiritually aligned with a predetermined role, timeline, or energetic signature. Conception rituals may include the invocation of spirits, ceremonial language, use of blood or symbolic tokens, and precise sexual acts intended to seal the contract. The mother is frequently in an altered state, either dissociated from trauma or entranced by ritual, and may be unaware of the full spiritual implications. In some families, conception is performed in front of a coven, on an altar, or under entity possession. This is spiritual trafficking at the origin level. Role assignments by birth. Children born through these rituals are not blank slates. They are immediately assigned roles based on birth order, gender, psychic sensitivity, or the circumstances of conception. Common roles include vessel, designed to carry the spiritual weight of the family, often used in possession rituals or spiritual hosting. Sacrifice, marked from birth as a soul meant to absorb punishment, take blame, or even be ritually harmed. Healer, groomed as the emotional regulator for the system, often abused early to activate extreme empathy and spiritual pliability. Anchor, assigned to hold the energetic pattern of the family in place, often through codependent relationships or lifelong entanglement. These roles are not metaphorical. They are enforced spiritually, emotionally, and physically. From a young age, the child is placed in environments, dynamics, and rituals that confirm their assignment. Family members speak to them in coded language. Gifts and objects are used to reinforce identity. Certain traumas are arranged to solidify the role through pain. Engineered identity. Every detail of the child's birth is deliberate. The name is chosen for its numerological, spiritual, or ancestral significance. The birth date is often scheduled to align with family holidays, occult high rituals, or astrological gates, ensuring the child's destiny remains tethered to the family grid. Even the bloodline combinations are carefully selected. Children may be conceived through incest to purify the lineage or preserve occult power. Others may be created through strategic pairings with rival or complementary bloodlines to forge energetic alliances or enslave competing timelines. These children grow up haunted by a sense of destiny, yet feel hollow or hijacked when trying to claim their path. That conflict is not imagined. It is the symptom of engineered identity, a false destiny layered over the original one, enforced through trauma and ritual agreement. To reclaim the self, survivors must first uncover the terms of their creation. What was their role? Who chose their name? What was happening astrologically at their birth? What dreams or behaviors emerged early in childhood that reflected ritual use? Once the blueprint is revealed, it can be rewritten, but only when the survivor is willing to confront the truth, that their very existence was part of a system, and that they now have the authority to override it. The next chapter will explore how spiritual incest and reincarnational pairings further distort identity and entrench these engineered unions. Spiritual incest and reincarnational pairing. One of the most insidious forms of control within occult families is the inversion of relational roles. In these systems, a child may be emotionally, spiritually, or even sexually groomed to serve as a surrogate spouse to a parent, sibling, or handler. This dynamic is known as spiritual incest, not always involving overt physical abuse, but functioning as a soul-level distortion of love, loyalty, and bonding. Spiritual incest installs confusion at the root of identity. A daughter may be praised for being daddy's little wife, encouraged to emotionally regulate a violent or broken father, or rewarded for intuitive merging with male figures in the family. The boundary between caregiver and partner is deliberately blurred. This programming ensures that the child becomes emotionally loyal to the very people who harm them, laying the foundation for future relational self-abandonment. These dynamics are often spiritualized through reincarnational narratives. A child may be told they are the reincarnation of a grandparent, a former lover, or even a spiritual deity assigned to care for a specific family member. They may hear phrases like, "You're his wife from a past life," or "You two have always been bonded even before birth." These claims are not harmless folklore. They are ritual tools used to normalize spiritual pairing between child and adult, and to bypass the internal alarm systems that would otherwise reject abuse. The programming is reinforced through symbolic markers. Children are often named after family members they are meant to energetically replace or mirror. Birthdays may fall on ritual holidays, ancestral death dates, or emotionally charged anniversaries. These synchronicities are by design, not coincidence. They create an energetic lineage that binds the child to a predetermined script, one in which they are both surrogate and sacrifice, healer and host. Survivors of spiritual incest often carry lifelong confusion around love, desire, guilt, and boundaries. They may feel drawn to toxic relationships that echo early family dynamics. They may feel shame for rejecting their abuser or grief when separation occurs. These emotions are not organic. They are the residue of programmed loyalty to a role they never chose. Recognizing spiritual incest requires more than revisiting trauma. It demands an audit of who you were assigned to be and why. Once that identity is exposed, it can be dismantled, and the survivor can begin to rewrite what love, intimacy, and self-worth actually mean, outside of the family's script. Programming reinforcement and triggers. Once the spiritual marriage system is installed, it doesn't rely solely on trauma to keep functioning. It is reinforced daily through objects, language, sensory cues, and behavior loops designed to anchor the contract into the survivor's nervous system. Verbal commands. Certain phrases may have been spoken during the original ritual or reinforced throughout childhood. These can include vows like, "You're mine forever," "No one else will ever love you," or "You belong to him." Even if the words sound mundane, they carry energetic signatures. Hearing them again, on TV, in music, or during conflict, can reawaken the emotional charge and reactivate dormant programming. Heirlooms and tokens objects given during grooming phases, jewelry, rings, dolls, necklaces, handwritten notes, often serve as anchoring tools. These are not just sentimental items, they are physical anchors for spiritual contracts. In some systems, even family furniture, clothing, or scent items, like a father's cologne or a specific fabric, carry programming layers meant to pull the survivor back into a submissive state. Music, scents, and sensory cues. Sensory triggers are among the most powerful. A song played during the original abuse can later trigger a collapse. A scent used during grooming rituals may trigger nostalgia, longing, or panic. The nervous system associates these senses with ritual imprinting, and the body responds before the mind has a chance to decode what's happening. Environmental cues. Some survivors find that returning to specific cities, neighborhoods, or even types of weather, fog, storms, full moons, triggers unexplained emotional reactions. These are not random. They are echoes of ritual events, anniversaries, or settings used to reinforce the original contract. Some families use repeated patterns, like car rides, church settings, or birthday parties, to re-anchor systems under the guise of family bonding. Behavioral scripts and triggers. The contract is often reinforced through relationship dynamics. A certain look from a parent, a silent treatment, or a sudden collapse during joy may signal to the internal system that healing must be aborted. These triggers are behavioral, not always verbal, but they are deeply programmed. They keep the survivor trapped in a loop of guilt, confusion, and resubmission. Sexual triggers. Many spiritual marriage contracts are reactivated through sexual contact. Even consensual sex in adulthood can trigger guilt, collapse, or longing for the original assigned partner. Survivors may experience dissociation during intimacy, flashbacks, or emotional shutdowns that feel out of context. This is because the body holds the blueprint of the spiritual marriage, and any sexual act threatens the false bond by inviting real connection. The system responds with sabotage to protect the original contract. To begin dismantling these reinforcements, survivors must identify the unique cues that re-anchor them. This means tracking emotional collapses, decoding sensory reactions, and challenging the authority of objects and words. Once exposed, these anchors lose power. The survivor can then choose to remove, destroy, or neutralize them, declaring, in full awareness, that the contract is void and their energy belongs to no one but themselves. Assigned roles for women and girls. In occult families, women and girls are rarely allowed to exist as autonomous individuals. From birth, they are assigned archetypal roles meant to serve the energetic infrastructure of the family system. These roles are not based on personality, calling, or choice. They are programmed templates imposed through ritual, trauma, and grooming. The most common roles include the ritual bride. She is bound in spiritual marriage to a handler, entity, or bloodline figure. Her role is to remain loyal, receptive, and sexually accessible, whether in waking life or through dream contact. This role is reinforced through praise for being pure, devoted, or chosen, and through symbolic rituals that mirror traditional weddings. The emotional container. She absorbs the pain, rage, or instability of others and transmutes it into silence, obedience, or emotional labor. Her survival depends on her ability to hold the chaos without disrupting it. She is praised for being mature for her age, resilient, or the strong one. The transmuter. She is used as a psychic filtration system. Her energy is extracted and recycled to purify the sins, karma, or spiritual debris of the family. She may experience illness, depression, or emotional collapse that aligns with others' suffering, often without understanding the connection. These roles are not accidents. They are installed deliberately through praise, symbolic gifts, and carefully timed grooming. A girl may receive a family heirloom that marks her as the bride. She may be given excessive responsibility for others' emotions, praised for putting herself last, or subtly rewarded for suppressing her own needs. These are not just cultural patterns. They are energetic contracts being installed under the guise of love, maturity, or femininity. Role inheritance is another key mechanism. If a grandmother or mother carried the bride archetype, the daughter may be ritually assigned to carry the lineage. This programming is often framed as sacred or divine. The girl is told she has a spiritual calling or is next in line to serve. In reality, she is being positioned as a vessel, chosen for continuity, not freedom. Survivors who carry these roles often struggle to separate their real identity from their programming. They may feel an unshakable responsibility to emotionally care for others. They may fear romantic union, yet feel consumed by guilt when rejecting a toxic connection. These are the symptoms of role-based identity control. Not flaws of character, but signs of inherited bondage. Reclaiming autonomy begins with naming the role, severing the energetic contract, and refusing to carry what was never yours to hold. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and what you just watched is part of my signature program, the Chosen One series inside School of Soul. This series is not just a course, it's a blueprint for those who know they were different from the start. The black sheep, the scapegoat, the truth teller, the cycle breaker. Inside, you'll discover the family roles playbook, the golden child, the scapegoat, the enabler, the lost child, and how to finally step out of the part you were cast in without consent. How the black sheep becomes the goat, turning rejection into radical transformation in leadership. How to break generational curses and rewrite ancestral contracts so the pain stops with you. And how to recognize and escape modern forms of spiritual and technological targeting, from gang stalking to synthetic synchronicity. This isn't just about survival. It's about awakening, about reclaiming your voice, your lineage, and your destiny as one of the chosen ones. Click the link below to access the full series now, because the role ends the moment you decide it does, and the real script begins with you.